And but he didn't finish his term.
No.
So he said, "Look, I can't." So he was the Tea Party, Mr. Tea Party. He was the guy that took the Tea Party and took it to the Senate.
But there was some scandal. I don't know if it was just because he was a flawed individual.
So the scandal was, and it's interesting that you were hipped on it, is that he had already decided and he was offered the job to be leader of Heritage while he was in the Senate.
The Heritage Foundation.
Yes.
The think tank.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Okay.
I mean, no one's going to go to jail for it, but it's kind of like you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
You're not supposed to be like, hey. And so he quit, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm just going to promote conservative causes. And then next couple days, I don't know how long it was, but pretty soon after that, he was running Heritage. And it's like, dude, really? You spent all that time talking about how you're Mr. Anti-establishment and lobbyists are bad. And I always saw that about Jim DeMint. He was a smooth operator. He would be like, we represent the people and this and that. And the South Carolinians like, dude, we ain't seen you in 5 years. And he's the guy that turned the Tea Party into huge K Street business. He created something called the Senate Conservatives Fund. And basically what that was is they got a whole bunch of money from people you don't know who it was, and they decided whether or not you were good enough to be a candidate. And if they didn't like you, they would just give a whole bunch of money to your opponent.
Really?
Yeah. So you had to kiss Jim DeMint's ring. And they had like $40,000 or $50,000 worth of furniture in the office. He was living like a king.
Yeah.
But he's like, and it was interesting, if you look, his net worth when he got to Congress was, it says something like $24,000. And then now it's something X number of millions.
Sure.
He was the epitome of that transition of,
But they all tend to do that.
Yes.
And you hear different, well, let's vote for the third party. So they told me, hey, Strong, you're voting for the Libertarian again, right? I said, oh, maybe. Well, I think they have a chance this time. I said, no, they're only on the ballot in 35 states.
They have no
They
chance.
really have no, I mean, they never have a chance, but this time, mathematically, they don't have a chance.
I don't think they're going to get many. This is going to be a one or the other election. It's not going to. I don't think you're going to see a lot of Gary Johnson kind of.
No, I mean there wasn't last time.
George Jorgensen is going to get. She would have to do something insane to get any press in this environment.
Yeah, and I can't see it happening.
And I like her. She's very smart, but people don't care about any of that stuff. I'm sorry.
They don't. But I mean, again, maybe I'm being Pollyanna again, but something's got to happen. Somebody has to at least plug into the average Joe. Now, I think Trump has done that. Trump certainly did that.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of people, a lot of white middle class who felt abandoned by the Republicans because they're the party of the rich. They always were. At least their dad told them that. But the Democrats,
no,
they've gone off the reservation.
They're making
they had nobody they could relate to. And even though Trump sometimes says one thing and does another, at least he says it.
The thing about Trump that I think gives him a chance, like right now, I think right now I'm leaning to thinking that Joe Biden's going to win right now. That's how I feel right now. But I think it's close because a lot of people are like, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden, but damn, these Democrats are getting weird.
Yeah.
And that...
Well, it's those famous words. If the election were held today.
Okay.
And it's not, so it doesn't matter.
Right, it doesn't matter. So for me, I'm starting to see Trump in aggregate and the people voting as a lesser of two evils. And that's scary because I voted for Joe Biden to beat Donald Trump. And within 2 or 3 months...
But I saw your Facebook post. You didn't do backflips and raise your hand.
No, I never liked that goofball.
In fact, I think your term was, he'll be fine.
Yes.
I think that's
and that was all I was asking for. I was asking for him to just be average. Yeah. And I have no confidence that he's going to be average.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, the mob said, yes, I'll do this. I'm sorry, that picture where he's in a mask, and that's cool that he's wearing the mask. That's not the problem I have. The problem I have was,
you're not black if you vote for Donald.
Well, worse than that. So this is my problem with the whole Biden thing. So he gets on his knees, on one knee. They're all in masks. It's cool. And then there's another picture where he takes the mask off. And he says, I forgot what he said exactly. But it was basically like he took the mask off to basically say, I'm going to take a knee for this cause.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, dude, that's so fake.
Yeah.
It is utterly disingenuous. You don't have to do that. And again, that's my whole thing is I want white people to recognize the brutal racist history of the country.
Mm-hmm.
I also want them to recognize the fact that America has provided opportunities that you see black people didn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
That's the story. Brutal, tyrannical racist history, glorious, brilliant ascent against it, and people of all races, including white people, saying, you know what? We don't want to be like that. We don't want to be Bill Connor anymore.
We used to be, but not. That was yesterday, not today.
And that's the reality, is America sucked at liberty when it started out. And we still have issues with it. But we're way better at liberty than we were in 1776.
Well, you bring up the whole take a knee thing. And I won't say there's nobody, but I will say there are few people who don't think that black folks in this country historically have been dealt a bad hand. Historically,
right.
Okay, most everybody will agree with that.
Right.
Some, I can't say everybody, but most everyone. I think all forward-thinking people would agree to that. And the whole Colin Kaepernick thing with taking the knee during the national anthem, that offended a whole lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
The reason he was doing it was the right reason.
Absolutely.
The vehicle was so wrong. What if he had done this? Just what if? Consider this. I'm going to stand with my head up high and my hand over my heart during the national anthem. I'm going to take the field. But right before I cross that line, I'm going to go to one knee for a few seconds. I'm going to get up to protest racism in this country and then go play football. Could you imagine the number of people who would have been for him? And by the way, he'd probably still be playing in the NFL, except for maybe that ship has sailed. He passed his prime. What if he had done something like that? And that's not something I read on Facebook. Mm-hmm. That was something that I came up with on my own. That was my own theory. If he had done that, just like you mentioned in our conversation before the podcast, the whole build a wall. We need a wall. No, we don't. We need a wall. No, we don't. More tribalism. What if you just enforced E-Verify? What if you just pulled somebody over on the street and where are your papers? Where's your passport? I mean, I have had the police talk to me in a foreign country. First thing I want to do is see your passport. Okay, well, you're here legally. Have a good day, sir. Mm-hmm. What if you just enforced the laws that we have? I'm sorry, sir, but you can't stay here anymore. You don't have papers. Mm-hmm. We're gonna take you to the border now, not tune you up and throw you across.
The political industry doesn't make any money off of what you're talking about, and it goes on both sides.
Well, just not the political industry, but
media industry, everything.
Would you pick tomatoes for $8 an hour? I sure as hell wouldn't.
No, hell no.
That's exactly right. But then have a guest workers program.
But in all honesty, Colin Kaepernick, and this is part of the problem that we're now going to see in the next phase of this debate, because more and more black folks are saying, well, wait a minute, I don't agree with what black, because 4 years ago, you didn't hear any black folks really, not many black questioning Black Lives Matter. Even most of us were like, you know what, this is a good movement. Mm-hmm. It's now been co-opted, just like the Tea Party. Mm-hmm. It's been co-opted by white professors. It's been co-opted by a whole lot of white folks who want to use it to promote their anarchy, promote their communism, whatever. It's also black intellectuals who have an interest in selling their product to these white people. Mm-hmm. They're no different. Basically, they're like the rappers. Most rappers don't sell stuff to black people. There are not enough black people to make a rapper rich.
That's exactly right.
So, but there's other black folks who are like, wait a minute, I don't want to get rid of the cops. I just want them to be less corrupt. And that's something, I remember one time Rand Paul said, hey, man, why don't we just stop and why don't we get rid of a lot of these stupid laws? And this black professor just went, no, it has nothing to do with the laws. It's the racism of the cops. And I was saying, that is the stupidest thing I've heard in 4 minutes. And it was MSNBC, so that's pretty intense. I hear something stupid every 25 seconds on MSNBC. So that was a record. But to suggest that the cops are doing what they're doing wrong because they're individually more racist than a healthcare worker or a public school teacher, it's just simply stupid. It's silly.
It is. It's beyond
It's the way our society is structured to generate revenue off of wrongdoing that's not really wrongdoing. But the point is, and I'm getting back to the situation, Colin Kaepernick, yeah, okay, he has a position on racism, but Colin Kaepernick is, and this is going to sound stupid when you look at his net worth, he's anti-capitalist, he's pro-Che Guevara, he's pro-Cuba, and he has a particular agenda that's pretty much anti. No,
and he's worth tens of millions of dollars.
And he's worth tens of millions of dollars because he took a knee.
Yeah.
So when people go, I remember Reverend Now said something about give Kaepernick his job back. That is the epitome of elitist Hollywood fluff, teeny bopper nonsense. I don't give two squats whether or not Colin Kaepernick plays football again or not. The man is a multimillionaire. Do I agree that there's a problem? Yes. Do I also agree that Colin Kaepernick is an egotistical, self-serving opportunist? Yes.
Well, he proved that when he had his tryouts. He invited everybody to a tryout, and then he didn't show up because he wanted to go try out at a high school field instead to get back to his roots. Well, that's not where the coaches and scouts were. And they said, well, no, we're set up to do it here. Well, no, you either come here or I'm done.
Well, Kaepernick was benched when he was doing the kneeling. He wasn't a starter.
Right, exactly.
And then he went in. It was weird because I watched the games. It was really weird because he did not look good to me at all, but he had, like, good stats. It was I don't know if he was playing crappy because he had 16 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. But I was looking at him. He wasn't moving well. I mean, he was reading. He was doing good reads, but I was looking like he didn't look. I mean, you saw what he wasn't at the level he was when he was close to being an MVP.
Right.
So it's a weird thing about giving him his job back. It's like you said, that's not an issue now. He's not a starter.
No. If you look at the half-life of running quarterbacks,
right.
it's not long.
No.
Cam Newton. I mean, he when he first came into the NFL, I thought, man, this guy is going to be a superstar for a long time. And he was for a few years.
And you just take too much punishment.
Yeah, because when you get a quarter second slower, they catch you. When they catch you go.
Or if you don't continue to get faster than the linebackers.
Yeah.
Every year a new linebacker comes in doing a 4.2, 4.1.
That's correct.
So you can still be the same speed, but now that guy is fast enough to catch you.
That's exactly right.
Or they reach you. They learn. Yeah. But
with Randall Cunningham is the only running quarterback who had a long
period.
He did.
He was adaptable because he would switch over to being a pocket passer at times.
Exactly.
He didn't continuously.
He could do both. That's exactly right.
But the fact is, if he had done what you were doing, he would not be as rich. So he is a capitalist. Black justice, racial justice, is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
Look at Alicia Garza. Look at Sean King. Look at MSNBC. Look at the Washington Post. Look at look at the universities. It's so funny how Bernie Sanders and all these guys and Elizabeth Warren talk about how bad, oh my gosh, the corporations are so evil, and they all love universities. Why don't they ever question why the universities don't stick people with $80,000 worth of debt? Who are the board of trustees of these universities?
Yeah.
Filthy rich, stinking rich people.
Well, and you had the COVID-19 shutdown.
Right.
And now there are a lot of students who are saying, wait a minute, Washington University, there was an exchange student from another country, I forget the country, but he paid his $28,000 for the semester at WashU.
Right.
2 or 3 weeks into it, they said, oh, by the way, this is basically going to be a computer class. He said, well, fine, then give me my money back.
Right.
Well, no, we can't give you your money back. We'll never make money that way. He said, I don't care how much money you make. I paid to get this, and you're giving me that. Giving me my money back. They're doing it at SLU. They're doing it with the state universities. These students are wanting their money back, and I don't blame them.
I predict, in my belief, like MSNBC and all they're talking about, the spikes, this and that, and there's something going on, but I mean, again, just from diving really into it, they're not depicting what's really happening accurately.